Have you ever noticed real injuries that happened in movies, or do you just think it's part of the script? Maybe it was the real injuries that made the movie look real. Welcome to the Bestest, the channel that provides you the bestest news and videos you should know about. In today's episode, we'll discuss the top injuries you'll actually see in the movies. Before we start, please make sure to like and subscribe to our channel and hit the bell to get notifications of our videos. We all know that the Bestest can serve you a platter filled with everything you have yet to find out. And that includes the bestest in the entertainment industry. Believe it or not, even when the whole production takes a lot of safety precautions, there are still injuries, minor or major, that happen on set. A few actors and actresses were involved in these accidents. But some of the minor and major accidents that happened did add a certain kind of genuine touch to the whole movie. Knowing a little bit about these movies could prove useful as a future drinking game. At number 1, we have Channing Tatum. He stars as an Olympic champion wrestler, Mark Schultz, in the sports drama biopic Foxcatcher. The story begins as Mark and his brother join Team Foxcatcher, which is led by an eccentric billionaire, and start training for the 1988 Olympic Games in Seoul, South Korea. There was a hotel room scene where Channing's character has a breakdown. The scene involves him hitting himself in the face and smashing his head into the mirror several times. And guess what? The blood you see in the scene is actually Channing's blood. He cut his head on the mirror during this scene. Despite the mirror being coated by safety plastic, he still smashed the mirror so hard that it broke all the way through it. And that's not all. The wall got broken too. Channing does have a powerful punch. This makes for some great acting. Doesn't this interest you? This tells us that we shouldn't be messing with Channing Tatum. It goes to show that there is a lot more underneath his tough physical exterior. Definitely makes you think about the other actors and actresses who made it to this list. Stay until the end of this video to know the most popular injuries that have ever happened in Hollywood industry. At number 2, we have Fred Astaire. In 1936's Follow the Fleet, the famous dancer and actor took a hard strike from the arm of his longtime co-star, Ginger Rogers. The dance scene from Let's Face the Music and Dance is where Ginger wore a beaded flowing gown with sleeves. Fred claimed that the gown weighed heavily. During the scene's first take, Ginger turned quickly. This led to Fred being smacked into the face by the heavy sleeves, which injured his cheek and eye. It left him somehow having a maimed appearance. They looked at the scene and then realized that it was the best take regardless of the injury. That was why the real take of the injury stayed in the film. At number 3, we have Jake Gyllenhaal. The Nightcrawler film, released in 2014, was an intense story about violence and ethics. He played Lou Bloom and gave a high level of passion and intensity in this film. A scene that happens in the bathroom of Lou's apartment involves anger and frustration. This photojournalist smashes the mirror. He played it beautifully. However, the mirror got broken when it wasn't supposed to be. The beautifully played scene ended up badly injuring Jake's hand. That's not all. He even ended up in the hospital. But what's amazing about it was how he stayed in character all throughout the injury. You can even see his bloody hand in the final cut of the film. So many injuries in films involve a lot of mirrors. Maybe it's just time to remove the mirror altogether. At number 4, we have Margaret Hamilton. The Wicked Witch of the West in the classic film The Wizard of Oz suffered a major injury on set. However, this take made its way to the final cut. It happened when the witch disappeared behind the blaze of flames from the scene in Munchkin Land. She has not yet descended through the trap door once the blaze of flames rose. This scene resulted in severe burns to her hands and face. The scene was painful, but it certainly is an amazing take that made it to the final cut of the film. At number 5, we have Martin Sheen. Unlike the other actors and actresses whose true-to-life injuries happen in the middle of their films, Martin's happened in the opening scene of Apocalypse Now. He played the role of Captain Benjamin Willard and was alone in a hotel room. The captain starts to go absolutely crazy. He falls drunk all over the room, then stares blankly for hours at the ceiling fan. In one take for the scene, he injured his own hand and wiped the blood all over his face. For audiences, this looked like movie magic, but in reality, it was Martin's own blood. And like all great actors, he stayed in character. Some people have claimed that Martin was very drunk when they shot this scene. Although, let's face it was a great scene paired with great acting. As we are halfway through this episode, we have heard a lot of terrifying, or should we say amazing accidents and injuries that happen on set. A few of those injuries scared a lot of people, part of the cast and crew. However, these scenes left an iconic mark in Hollywood history. What other minor and major injuries took place in other films? Now it kind of makes you think what is real and what is just movie magic. At number 6, we have Malcolm McDowell. In the Ludovico sequence of the movie, A Clockwork Orange, Malcolm McDowell was an image you can never forget. He scratched his cornea shooting this scene. What made the whole cast and crew afraid about it was the fact that he nearly went blind. You can clearly see his injury on the final cut of the film. Aside from that, you can also see the real-life doctor that they hired apply eye drops to his injury. This made it an amazing fact to see in the whole movie.
Like cracked and boomed. It was Ludwig van. Ninth Symphony, 4th movement.
At number 7, we have Diane Kruger. We all know how Quentin Tarantino is a perfectionist, especially when it comes to gory films. Diane Kruger experienced his perfectionism firsthand in the movie Inglourious Basterds. In Diane's death scene, Quentin choked her with his own hands instead of letting Christopher Waltz do it. The esteemed director ended up actually strangling Diane. She felt the realness of being choked despite it being a part of the movie. Although it's part of a script, this is definitely new. Who would have thought that Quentin is willing to go through a lot just to achieve the perfect film? A few sources claim that Diane passes out on camera, but this isn't verified. Maybe she's just a really good actress. At number 8, we have Daryl Hannah. Most of us have seen Blade Runner. It is a dark, gritty film, but it does have its own stories involving on-screen accidents. One of them involved the actress Daryl Hannah. She plays Pris and flees once she was discovered by the scientist and inventor J.F. Sebastian. This leads to her elbow making hard contact with a parked van. It was chipped in 8 places and also badly cut. She got a scar as a memorabilia from Blade Runner. The film is more than just about it. She is also a great actress. So for people who haven't seen Blade Runner, make sure you do and catch the scene that leads up to her chipped elbow. At number 9, we have Viggo Mortenson. In the movie The Two Towers, a highly emotional moment existed. He plays the role of Aragorn. After having ridden up to a pile of smoldering orc remains, Aragorn and the gang fear that Merry and Pippin have been killed. Aragorn boots his helmet across the screen and lets out a raw cry of anguish. Peter Jackson says that Viggo's scream isn't just the result of great acting. It is a result of legitimate pain since he broke 2 toes during shooting this film. And due to its brilliant take, it was made to stay in the Two Towers final cut. We really ask ourselves what broke Viggo's two toes. However, maybe pain is another way for these great actors and actresses to bring out the best in the characters they play. Some of them even won awards for their performance. This is another reason why it's great to know what's behind the scene. And we are now almost at the end of this episode. For people who stayed until this part, we're sure that the last actor would greatly interest and amaze you. At number 10, we have Leonardo DiCaprio. We have all fallen head over heels for this amazing actor. From Titanic to The Revenant, we all know how great Leonardo is. And his greatness is how he stays in character even through difficult moments on set. A moment that proved his greatness is the intense Candyland table scene in Django Unchained.
Hey! Lay your palms flat on that tabletop! If you lift those palms off that turtle shell tabletop, Mr. Pooch is gonna let loose with both barrels that sawed off.
Leonardo DiCaprio smashes his hand on the table. This breaks the table and breaks a glass. Some may think that it's all just movie magic, but in reality, it was all Leonardo DiCaprio's blood. Quentin enjoyed the scene. He loved it too much that he didn't even hesitate in making this take a part of the final cut. And that sums up today's episode. Now, we know how these scenes were able to make it into Hollywood history. You may think it's trickery, but you do admit that these injuries have made these movies pop as well. What was the most shocking injury in this episode? Let us know in the comment section below. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Bestest and hit the bell to access more of our videos. Thank you so much for watching, and until our next Bestest video.